Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's final chance. Manchester United play Watford tomorrow at Vicarage Road, and defeat to Watford will surely end Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial tenure at Manchester United. Ahead of this game against Watford, Solskjaer held crisis talks with his senior players to save his job. Manchester United are coming into this game against Watford on the back of a 2-0 defeat to Manchester City before the international break, and it was a very poor performance against Man City. After the 2-0 defeat to Man City, Solskjaer did admit that Man United were outclassed by Man City, and he said the Man City defeat was a big step backwards. Manchester United have had back-to-back home defeats to Man City and Liverpool, and reflecting on that, the pressure has increased on Solskjaer. Manchester United have only won one of their last 6 Premier League games, and Man United are 6th in the Premier League at the moment. It said earlier on this week that Manchester United have made the decision to sack Solskjaer. But Solskjaer could still remain in charge until the end of the season. Solskjaer is refusing to quit Man United despite senior stars losing faith in tactics. Earlier on this week, Solskjaer returned to the Carrington training ground. Last week he was away in Norway after he granted his players a week off. Now, the last time Manchester United played Watford at Vicarage Road was back in December 2019, and Watford won 2-0. Watford have been very poor so far this season. They are sitting 17th in the Premier League at the moment, so they're right near the relegation zone. Watford lost their last league game to Arsenal 1-0 before the international break. Watford's manager is Claudio Ranieri. Watford appointed Ranieri in back in October on a 2-year deal. At the time of the appointment, Watford were sitting 15th in the league, but they're in a worse position now. Ranieri, though, is a pretty decent manager. He's managed a lot of clubs in his managerial career. Like before, he managed Fulham. I think Fulham sacked Ranieri. Don't forget when Ranieri was at Leicester, he won the Premier League with Leicester. But obviously Leicester still sacked Ranieri. Before Ranieri, Watford had Xisco, but they sacked Xisco. Watford have got some injuries. Christian Kabasele is out with injury. He won't be involved in this game. Ozan Tufan, he's out with injury. Peter Etibo, he's out with injury. Ken Sema, he's out with injury. Baha, he's out with injury. And I think they're the injuries that Watford have got. They have got a player suspended for this game, and that's Juraj Kuka. Watford have got some decent players though. Obviously one of their key players is Ismail Assar. They've also got Emmanuel Dennis. They brought him in this year's summer transfer window. They've also got Joshua King. Joshua King is a former United player. Joshua King risen up our academy. So if he plays in this game, he'll be reuniting with Manchester United. They've also got Hernandez. They've got Pedro. They've also got Ashley Fletcher. They've also got Tom Cleverley. You know, he's a former Manchester United player. You know, if he plays in this game, he'll be reuniting with Man United. They've also got Dan Gosling. I remember Dan Gosling when he was at Everton. They've also got Craig Cathcart. They've got Sissoko. They've got Sissoko from Tottenham. They've got Danny Rose. They also got him from Tottenham. One of Watford's goalkeepers is Ben Foster, and he's a former Manchester United goalkeeper. So there you go. Watford have let players go. Don't forget, they let Troy Deeney go in this year's summer transfer window. Troy Deeney went to Birmingham from Watford. They also offloaded Craig Dawson. Craig Dawson is at West Ham. They also offloaded Isaac Success. They offloaded Will Hughes. Watford also loaned Andre Gray out, and they also loaned Quina out. So there you go. Manchester United have obviously got some injuries. Obviously, Raphael Varane, he's out with a hamstring injury. He's out for 2 to 3 weeks. It's the second injury that Varane has endured since he became a Man United player, because he had a groin injury not so long ago, and he was out with that groin injury for a few weeks. He's a big miss for Man United. Obviously, Edison Cavani, he's out with injury until December. Paul Pogba, he's obviously out with injury. He's going to miss the rest of 2021. Pogba did suffer a thigh injury in France training the other week. Pogba may never play for the club again, because it's said that Man United are prepared to sell Paul Pogba in the January transfer window. Well, it makes sense to cash in for him in January rather than let him go on a free next summer. Pogba can't play in this game against Watford anyway, because he's still got one game to serve at the 3-match ban he got, because Pogba got sent off in the 5-0 defeat to Liverpool. He did play in the 2-2 draw against Atalanta. Reports from France did say the other week that Pogba actually wants to renew his contract with Man United, but reportedly on one condition, that he's made the Premier League's highest paid player. At the moment, Pogba receives around 290 grand a week on his current contract. His current contract at Man United expires next summer. Before the start of this season, he rejected a new Man United contract offer. Luke Shaw was out with a concussion, but I think Luke Shaw should be fit to play in this game against Watford. Shaw came off with a concussion in the 2-0 defeat to Man City. So that's it. McTominay is now back, by the way. not so long ago McTominay had a virus. And like I said on my predicted 11, I think Solskjaer will revert back to the 4-2-3-1 formation, because in the last 3 games he's gone with that 3-5-2 formation. But like I've said, it's going to be hard for Solskjaer to stick with that formation. After Watford, Manchester United play Villarreal in the Champions League. That's going to be a massive game. Then after that, Manchester United play Chelsea. Chelsea's our next league game. Now, obviously, you know the news on Zinedine Zidane. Reports have come out today and said that Zinedine Zidane has turned down the Manchester United job, as he's pretty much agreed to take over the France job. Zidane is not available until the summer. Because not so long ago, the Manchester United board held talks with Zidane, and Zidane let the board know that he doesn't feel ready for the Premier League at the moment, and he prefers to take a break until the summer. But reports have said that Zidane was interested in the Manchester United job, but Zidane's wife wasn't attracted to the idea of living in Manchester. Manchester United were hopeful that Zidane's close relationships with Ronaldo and Varane could have persuaded him to join. Ronaldo wants Zidane at Manchester United. He's already made that clear, because Ronaldo knows him really well. Ronaldo played under Zidane when he was at Real Madrid. Zidane, though, is a very good manager. You've got to admire what he did at Real Madrid. He won a lot of trophies at Real Madrid, so reflecting on that, he's got a good pedigree behind him. At the moment, Zidane has not yet managed in the Premier League, and I said it would be good for him to come and experience the Premier League, but like I said, it looks like he's going to coach the France team. You obviously know the news on Brendan Rodgers. Sky Sports and ESPN said yesterday that Brendan Rodgers distances himself from the Man United job. Rodgers said reports linking him with a move to Man United are not true, and he's proud to be at Leicester. He said the other day, though, that Brendan Rodgers is ready to say yes to Man United if he's offered the job. Recently, Rodgers was house hunting in Cheshire. Yes, Brendan Rodgers is the favourite to replace Solskjaer at Man United. The Manchester Evening News said the other week that Man United are ready to trigger Brendan Rodgers' contract clause if Solskjaer gets sacked. And earlier on in the season, it said Brendan Rodgers had already verbally agreed to become Man United's new manager, but his preference would be to wait until next season, because it did mention he's reluctant to leave Leicester midway through the season. Should Brendan Rodgers replace Solskjaer? If Rodgers became Man United's new manager, do you think he'd get us back to that level where we should be at? Would he suit the strappings of the club? Would he be capable of winning trophies? And would he get the best out of these group of players? Well, you've got to admire what Rodgers has done at Leicester. So far at Leicester, he's won the Community Shield and the FA Cup. and he's been in charge of Leicester for almost 3 years, and he's got a contract with them until 2025. Pochettino, he's still being mentioned as well. Reports from France said not so long ago that Pochettino will consider a return to the Premier League in his next job. Pochettino has a full season left on his PSG contract. And Erik ten Hag has still been mentioned. But revert back to Solskjaer. We should have sacked Solskjaer after the 5-0 defeat to Liverpool. If we'd have sacked him after that game, I can assure that Manchester United would have got Antonio Conte. After the 5-0 defeat to Liverpool, it actually said Solskjaer had been given 3 games to save his job, and he only won 1 of them 3 games. Now, when Man United do sack Solskjaer, they'll have to pay him around $7.5 million, because in the summer he signed a 3-year contract with an option of a further year. Solskjaer's been given long enough at Manchester United. He's been Manchester United manager for almost 3 years. I'm surprised he's lasted as long as he has done, but the reason he's lasted as long as he has done is because he's a legend of the club. Disregarding him being a legend of the club, I can assure he would have been sacked a long time ago. Reflecting on our poor performances, some of the blame stems from Solskjaer because his tactics and his team selections have been questioned a lot, but on the other side of things, not all of the blame stems from Ole. There's also players that have to take responsibility for those poor performances. We all adore Solskjaer, reflecting on what he's done for the club. At the end of the day, he's a legend of the club and he was a good player. He endured 11 years as a player for Man United. He flourished under Ferguson's guidance, and he had a proven pedigree when he was a player, but unfortunately he has no proven pedigree as a manager, and that is a big concern. Manchester United endured a very good summer transfer window this year, made 4 signings. Brought Tom Heaton in on a free from Villa, brought Sancho in from Dortmund, brought Varane in from Real Madrid, and we re-signed Ronaldo after 12 years. 3 of the 4 signings we made were major signings. Solskjaer's endured like 5 transfer windows now as permanent Man United manager, and the board backed Ollie well in the summer transfer window this year, and they still continue to back him now. And Manchester United have got a very good squad. So reflecting on what I've just said, Solskjaer has no more excuses. Well, he ran out of excuses a while ago. I presume the vast majority or all Manchester United fans are Ole out. He's not the long-term manager for Man United. I said a while ago he wasn't the long-term manager. This season is his 3rd full season at the club. But, Solskjaer is not capable of winning trophies as Man United manager. He hasn't won a trophy as Man United manager. We haven't won anything since 2017. The expectations are far too high for Ollie to exceed as Man United manager, and he is in a position that he shouldn't be in. I hate to say this regarding Ollie, but I'm just being realistic. Ollie knew when he'd taken over at Manchester United it was going to be a massive job. Not only a massive job, a difficult job as well. Despite him knowing the club through thick and thin, Ole is managing one of the biggest clubs in the world. But when Solskjaer does get sacked, he will be the 4th permanent manager to be sacked since Ferguson, because Man United have already sacked 3 managers since Ferguson. We sacked David Moyes after 10 months. We finished 7th under the David Moyes era. That's the lowest we've finished in the Premier League era. We sacked Louis van Gaal after like 2 years or so, despite him winning the FA Cup, and we sacked Jose Mourinho after like 2.5 years. Mourinho did enjoy one good season at Man United because he did win 3 trophies in his first season. Players are going to be leaving Manchester United next year. I think Dean Henderson is going out on loan. Henderson said he wants to go out on loan. Obviously, Henderson doesn't get in goal now because De Gea reclaimed that number 1 spot back. Henderson's only been in goal for 1 game so far this season. And that was the game against West Ham in the Cup. At one point, Henderson was out with COVID for a while. At one point last season, though, he did get the number 1 jersey and he did well in a lot of the games he was in goal for last season. He made some good saves in games and his distribution was good. Before the start of last season, Henderson signed a 6-year contract with Man United, so reflecting on that, he committed his future to the club. He's got experience behind him because he enjoyed 2 successful loans with Sheffield. He's also had other loan spells before. Dalot, I think he's going next year. Dalot doesn't really get in the team. Dalot will only play when Bissaka's not available. In some of the games though, Dalot has been involved and he's done alright. He's our backup right back to Bissaka. Last season, Dalot had a loan spell with AC Milan, and reflecting on that, he gained some experience. We got Dalot around 3 years ago from Porto. Man United paid around 19 million for him. Dalot's got a contract with Man United till 2023. Bailly, I think he's also going next year, unfortunately, because Bailly doesn't get regular game time at Manchester United. Bailly lost his place in the team a while ago, obviously with the signing of Varane in the summer transfer window, and Solskjaer prefers Lindelof ahead of Eric Bailly. Don't ask me why, because Bailly is a far superior centre-half to Lindelof. Bailly's only made 3 appearances so far this season. He's injury prone, which is a concern though. Towards the end of last season, he signed a new contract with Man United till 2024. There's an option of a further year. He's been at Man United for like 5.5 years now. Got him from Villarreal back in 2016 for 30 million. Phil Jones, I think he's also leaving next year. Jones doesn't even get in the team. At one point, Jones was out with a knee injury for a while. He's always been inconsistent. Did you know Phil Jones is the only outfield player that's still at Man United since the Ferguson era? This season is Jones' 11th season at Man United, so he has been a long-serving player. I think next year as well, Tellez is going, because Tellez is another one that doesn't really get in the team. Tellez will only play when Luke Shaw's not available. Tellez was out with injury earlier on this season. In some of the games Tellez has been involved in, though, he's done well, to his credit. The reason we brought Tellez in was to provide competition for Shaw. We got Tellez for 15.4 million from Porto last year. Like I said, Paul Pogba, he's going next year by the looks of things, unless he signs a new contract and we're willing to meet his demands. Matic, he's another one who I think's going next year. Matic isn't one of our first choice midfielders, but despite that, he gets his chances. Surprisingly enough, he's ahead of Van der Beek in our midfield. I think Matic is the only predominant centre defensive midfielder that Man United have got. I've always had my strong reservations about him, Matic, even though he has had his good games at Man United. We got Matic from Chelsea back in 2017 for 40 million, and he's been at Man United for 4.5 years now. Jesse Lingard, I gave you the news on him yesterday night. Jesse Lingard is leaving Manchester United next year, because Jesse Lingard's future at Manchester United is in doubt after talks over a new contract collapsed. You know, Lingard's current contract at Man United expires next summer. It's said recently that Lingard could leave Man United for just 10 million next year. Lingard's only made one start for Man United this season, that was West Ham in the EFL Cup. Lingard lost his place in the team a while ago, but Lingard's been part of the club for a long time. Risen up our academy and that. He's had his good periods at Man United, he's also had his bad periods. At one point, Solskjaer said he wants Lingard to stay at Man United. The second half of last season, he enjoyed a 4-month loan spell with West Ham, did Lingard, and he made an impact. Van der Beek, he's definitely leaving in January. The player himself has confirmed that, because obviously Van der Beek's frustrated because he hasn't been given enough game time at Manchester United, and reflecting on that, I haven't had much of a perception on him. But I've said Solskjaer has to start Van der Beek, especially in the Premier League, because he is a good player. He could be starting this game against Watford though tomorrow. And I think Mata, Martial and Cavani will be leaving the club next year. But like I say, you know, there's really, really good players at Manchester United. You know, you've got the best player in the world overall in Ronaldo. You've got Mason Greenwood, that's a talented player. You've got Rashford, that's a good player. You've got Fernandes, that's a good player. You've got Cavani, that's a good player. You've got Van der Beek, that's a good player. You've got Pogba, that's good. You've got Shaw, that's a good left-back overall, but Shaw's been very, very poor so far this season. You know, you've got Tellez, that's a decent left-back, but doesn't really play. You know, you've got Harry Maguire. That can be good when he wants to be, but he's been terrible this season, and he's been even worse since he came back from that calf injury. You know, Baye's a decent centre-half. Varane's a good centre-half as well. You know, Pisaka's a decent right back. You know, the defensive side of his game's superb, but the attacking side of his game is not so good. And obviously you've got De Gea, that's a very, very good goalkeeper as well. I've got to give him a lot of credit because I think he's done really, really well so far this season. So there you go. Good players at Man United, but the reason we're not getting the best out of a lot of the players is because we're a team of individuals. We don't actually play as a team. You've got the likes of City, Liverpool and Chelsea that all play as a team, and that explains why they're in a much better position than Manchester United at the moment. Man United should be winning the Premier League this season because we have got a title winning squad. We haven't won the Premier League since 2013, and at the start of this season Solskjaer did mention that his ambition was to win the Premier League. So anyway guys, that's everything to update you today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.